the Herta is here, the next Year Edition character, the evolution of, well, Herta. And I gotta say, she's a very fun DPS because she's not just supposed to be played by herself. You want to play her with another Year Edition character. So we got Jade, we got Serval. If we filter over to Year Edition here, you can see we've got QQ. That would be fun. We've got Rappa. No, we don't, because we don't want Super Break. We got Jing Yuan, Argenti, Jade, and Himiko, as well as the OG Herta. So with these team options, we can unlock the massive parts of her kit while also just doing crazy amounts of damage when we get to the showcases. So in this video, we're specifically going to have double Herta, Jade, as well as Serval. A couple of things we're going to change is going to be Robin with Ron May. We're also going to do a 4-star only run with just the Herta and only 4-star light cone, so that's going to be fun. Now, we're going to be talking about her kit. And this part is going to be a little bit complicated because everything ties into something else. Everything. And it is a little bit lengthy. So we're actually going to read every single one and go over it to kind of see what it connects to. But really quickly, the gist of her kit is that every time an ally attacks, you're going to be getting energy for the Herta, as well as dealing these stacks that are going to go onto the enemy. And then when you use the ultimate, you're going to be transferring all those stacks onto the main one. The goal is to get to 42 so you can deal big damage, and every time you use your ultimate, you're going to advance Herta 100%, as well as get a stack that's going to enhance your skill, and that is what's going to deal, of course, the big damage. Now, the Herta's kit transforms itself when you have 2 Year Edition characters because it makes a lot of things possible. Pretty much every time you basic with one of your characters, you're going to be getting 9 energy for the Herta, which is really good, considering she's got a 220 max energy cost, which is pretty crazy. Now, the talent of the Herta is pretty much going to be that every time you start a wave, the one enemy with the highest HP pretty much is going to start out with 25 stacks of interpretation, and then every stack is going to be increasing that multiplier by 8, but then if you have 2 Year Edition characters, it's going to be increasing by 16. So if we just do a little bit of quick math, that's going to be 672% total multiplier increase with 42 stacks and 2 Year Edition characters. So that's pretty crazy. And then every time enemies die, of course, it will transfer over. Now, the skill is just going to be a normal blast normally. However, it's going to do some adjacent stuff, so it hits a bunch of enemies, so it gets you your 15 energy. And then the enhanced skill, you're really going to be buffing this with the talent, so even though it looks like 80, 80, and 40, it's not going to be that low. It's going to be hundreds, almost 1,000 multiplier per enemy. It's pretty crazy. Now, for the ultimate, you're going to be rearranging all the interpretation stacks on the enemies. We're going to see that in the showcase, as well as dealing 200% multiplier to the enemies. And then the main part is going to be increasing Herta's attack by 80%, and that's pretty massive. That's like a whole Robin. You know, that's a chunky attack bonus, as well as, you know, get instant action with Herta. Unfortunately, it's not like Rappa, so it kind of screws up your action value if you're kind of bad on energy, or if you don't want to pop it immediately, kind of sucks. But you're going to be able to get 4 of these stacks, which is at E0 is kind of weird because you're not really going to be getting that much. That's kind of an E2 thing, where if you hold it and pop it twice, you're going to be holding 4 stacks. But anyways, when it comes to the basic, that's nothing. Now, there is the technique before we get into her abilities. Pretty much, it's just going to be a 60% attack increase for 2 turns, and then you're going to get some treasure stuff, and then you're going to deal some good damage when you're in the simulated universe. Now, the ability. When allies attack, you're going to be inflicting that interpretation, right? So that's why you want teams with obviously another Year Edition character. So the Herta with Herta, obviously, with Jade, with Serval, these characters are going to be attacking a bunch with Himiko. You're going to be getting a bunch of these stacks. You're going to be getting 3 energy for the Herta every time an enemy is hit, right? Up to 5. So you're going to be getting up to 15, although 5 is pretty much the maximum in any actual battle. So 15 energy per attack is going to be pretty crazy. And then if you get to 42, which is the maximum, you're going to be dealing 50% extra damage, which unfortunately is just damage percent. That's pretty much just an extra orb, but that is still pretty good damage. Now, the other ability is when you have the 2 Year Edition characters, you're going to unlock a whole bunch of extra stuff. All your allies are going to get 80% crit damage. That is pretty crazy. The same way Jade's going to give speed, the Herta is going to give crit damage, right? As well as every time an ally attacks, you're going to be triggering 3 attacks worth of this talent here. So you're going to be getting 9 energy every time a ho-ho attacks, for example, which is really, really, really nice. As well as every time you attack, it's pretty much going to deal more stacks of interpretation to the enemy with the highest. So you're going to be able to deal 1 more, and then you're going to be able to deal pretty much 2 more. So you're going to be able to get an extra 3 perhaps. Maybe it's actually another one. This whole kit's pretty crazy. And then as well as every interpretation stack you're going to get a stack of answer up to 99, pretty similar to Jade's thing. It's just going to increase the multiplier for the ultimate, which honestly you don't really care about all that much because the majority of her damage is in her enhanced skill. However, her ultimate is the second over that. Now, that was a mouthful. That was a lot. Since the light cone is here, it's just going to give 12% crit rate, 60% damage, as well as a skill point every time we use our ultimate. Pretty crazy. Not all that so much, actually, but, you know, with having to use a skill point every time we want to use our enhanced skill, that is a little bit rough. Anyways, the showcase, we're going to get into it now. That was a very long description, explanation, you could say, but the Herta is just that kind of character. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, join the Discord, and let's get right into it. Now we got our 4-star only team here with Serval and Pela being our only debuffer. So we actually got no buffer on the team, but since Herta is such a good self buffer, it's pretty crazy. Now we started off the fight with, of course, the talent giving 25 stacks of interpretation over to the middle enemy. Now we're going to be talking a lot of interpretation this battle, and this is also a long battle, so it's a pretty good opportunity to talk about it. Now we held that Pela ultimate just so we can keep this debuff on these enemies for as long as possible. And every time we basic, because we have 2 Year Edition characters on the team, we're going to be getting 2 stacks. Very, very good. We're also going to be getting energy 9 for the Herta every single time for these single target attacks. And then every time we skill with a Year Edition character like Serval, we're going to be getting 4 stacks to the highest target with the, you know, with the highest number of stacks, obviously. And then if it's Herta using her skill, she's actually going to apply 1 extra, so it's going to be 5. Now those are going to be all of our ways of actually inflicting these stacks on the enemies. And after we get to 42 here, we can go ahead and use our enhanced skill. 100% crit rate, 230, only her self buffs plus Pela, 850k. That's pretty crazy. She's at 82 stacks for her ability, although that is for her ultimate damage. Now, we're going to go here and start building up these stacks a little bit further. We're going to go from 21 to 23. Then we're going to go ahead and increase those as well. Beautiful. Now, the one thing about the Herta that is a little bit rough is that, of course, when you want to action advance her, sometimes the timing is just not ideal, and you have to basic when you would rather skill, that way you can get more energy for the next ult. So even though you can hold your stacks and kind of keep them in the backlog for later, you're forced to basic in between, which pretty much means that the rest of your team is pretty much dictating the energy regeneration of the Herta. So here we're going to go ahead and get that 100% action advance. A little bit late, but you know what, it's fine. Now, we're going to basic just because we want to get more energy for the next wave, just so we can be a little bit more prepared. Even though this is MOC 11 with the HP buffs that we've got this time around, it might just be just as strong as MOC 12's last TV boss, to be honest. So, it's going to be interesting. Let's see if we can hopefully get like a 3 cycle maybe in this battle. Who knows? We're going to be getting some energy here. Hopefully we don't have to use this enhanced skill at all, and we can just hold it, because we do... or we can hold up to 4 stacks, which at E0 is, of course, you know, a little bit weird, but it's fine. Here we're gonna go ahead and, ooh, it's gonna be a little bit rough. Hopefully we can take it out. Let's see. Come on. If we can get enough single target attacks here, because these obviously aren't gonna kill it, we can pop the ultimate on the Herta, waste the action advance, but at least we're gonna have an extra stack of the ultimate, or of the enhanced skill. Now, this is, of course, what I thought while doing this, but the problem with this method is that you end up with actually too many stacks of your enhanced skill with not enough stacks on the enemy, and you're just not able to, you know, really deal a maximum amount of damage. It really depends on your team, and if you have some characters that, you know, deal a ton. Here, we're going to go ahead and use this ultimate on Gallagher at the same time, so we can double up on this energy here. Beautiful. See, in this situation, now we're going to get 3 stacks of enhanced skills. 2 would have been fine, but at 3, we're going to have one of these enhanced skills pretty much do nothing, but it's fine. Go ahead and skill here. We're going to lose that resolution debuff on the main TV, but you know what? Whatever, it's fine. So here we can go ahead and... Unfortunately, our energy is a little bit sad, but the thing is, even if it was at the max, we'd still want to use our attack and then use the ultimate. That is the situation that you run into with the Herta, which is a little bit sad. Now that damage was a little bit low, but you know what? A little bit low. But of course, we do have to consider this is a 4-star only team, and sometimes my expectations are higher than what they need to be. So we must transgress. Yes. So we're going to build up these stacks here on the enemies. We're going to go in with this ultimate on Pela, get some debuffs. We're at 22. We're going to go up to 26, go to 30. And now we're just going to have to wait over for the Herta's next turn. The problem is that, of course, we got no dances on this team. Very sad. Oh, we're going to double up on this energy. Very good timing. We like to see that. Now here we're going to get to 34. Unfortunately, we can't get to 42 before the Herta's thing. This is where her E1 comes in, because we're going to get an extra 50% calculation of these interpretation stacks. Now, I still haven't clarified whether it's going to go beyond 42. So if it calculates, 50%, 1.5 times 42, or if it just helps you get to 42 easier with the adjacents and with everybody. However, once I know that for sure, I'll make sure I let everybody know, because that's going to be a really fun Eidolon for a ton of damage, because her E2 is also crazy with extra action advance every time you use that enhanced skill, plus you get an extra stack every time you use your ultimate with her enhanced skill, as well as starting, I think, the wave with an enhanced skill, which is pretty cool. That's a really, really fun increase of kind of kit, instead of just pure damage, having, extra things to do. Now here we're going to go ahead and, come on, just die. 1%. This is really sad. Why will it not die? It still won't die. Oh, okay. The lightning dot took it out. So now we can go ahead and use the Herta, get that 100% action advance, rearrange these stacks of interpretation here. And we're at 30. So we got 2 stacks of our enhanced skills. We're going to wait just until we can get this debuff on the Pela here. Or not the Pela, I suppose, just Pela, but it's fine. If we had that ultimate, it would have been very nice before. We didn't end up wasting that turn on the Herta. That is a lot of energy loss, but you know what, it's fine. With an unideal 4-star only run like this, the numbers are actually looking really good, because, of course, the MOC buff is not impacting our numbers whatsoever. We're just getting this energy at the end of the next wave. Ooh, 650. We like to see that. That's really good. And in the next teams, when we look at with Jade and Robin, as well as Ron May and the regular Herta, they're gonna be a lot of fun as well, and they're gonna do pretty good numbers. I gotta say, it's a ton of fun. We got 39% here left with the Banana Academic Office staff. And we're about to finish it. Bang, bang. And it is over. This all looks so good. So now we're going to kick it up a gear with Jade. We're going to toss in Robin as well as Huo. Now this team works really well in my opinion, because the energy is very valuable to both Robin, Jade, and the Herta's very high energy cost. Since we don't have a lot of attacks in this team, getting our Concerto the second time around with Robin is going to be tough. Huo kind of fixes that. Now this is going to be versus the new boss, and it is quite cool, if I gotta say so myself. Kind of like Yun Li. It's kind of like if Yun Li transformed into a dragon. It's pretty damn cool. Now here we're going to go ahead and get into Sanction once we use our next attack. So we want to make sure we can kill 2 enemies, right? And then trigger Sanction. We want the fishes to be summoned because we want the Death Shred. So that's why we attack those 2 small ones. And then this ultimate with Herta here is going to kill those and then let it summon the 2 fishes. That way we can get the Death Shred to the 2 enemies and kill them faster, because that is always the goal for a fast and quick death. Now we're actually using a very cool set on Jade. If you guys go to the build after this, it's going to be the new set, it's going to give, kind of like Marichose in, I don't know if I said that right, but in Genshin, it's going to give 32% crit rate to Jade, and it is just really, really cool, but you got to be at, like, no speed. So, anyway, we got that Death Shred here on the 2 enemies, and we're just going to wait. And then used our enhanced, oh, it's kind of rough, but it's fine. Used our enhanced skill. We're at 42 on both, and this is going to be a ton of damage. 2 targets, 760. Everybody is E0, S1, or a 4-star light cone, and this is looking pretty damn good. We're going to go into the next wave. Unfortunately, that delay made her to lose her next turn, but who knows if we could have killed. We'll take advantage of this opportunity to get a little bit extra energy and go in. Now, the way this next boss works, this Giver Dragon, Lance of Fury, we want to wait until it summons its until it summons ourselves, actually. We'll see pretty soon. There it is. Every time we kill one of these, we're going to be taking a good chunk of HP off this thing, and this thing has a lot of it. I'm talking a lot of HP. And here with Jade, pop this so we don't waste the energy, then go in with Ho-Ho. 1 million damage, did pretty much a tickle. It is 42 stacks. Let's see what we can do. 2.6 million. Damn, that is crazy. Compared to the damage we're doing with Jade here, it's not even comparable when it's a fully buffed max charge. Although, of course, when you kill those things, it deals extra damage to the main boss. So those numbers are inflated, of course. Now here we're gonna go ahead and get back into Concerto, and here, if only we were Rappa, things would have been perfect, but we're just going to start tickling it just a little bit. Get this Debt Collector back on the Herta, and then pop our ultimate for our action advance. And can we do the last 11%? No, we can't. Quite sad. We're going to have to use an enhanced skill here, because we pretty much can deal no damage outside of, in a single target situation. It's very, very rough. Because we can't build up the stacks and then transfer over. Okay, here we go. We got a ultimate. We got some snake summoning going on. Very nice. Linkshot would also be really, really good in this situation if the swords didn't die so fast. But if we were to kind of tap them over and over again before we killed them, that would be really, really good just for some extra stacks. Because the stacks is kind of what you're playing around with to get as many as you can with the Herta. 1.7 million ult, that is really good. 1.4, killing these swords, of course, makes these numbers crazy. 600k, single target. I forgot to look at how many stacks before that, but I think just one more Concerto after this. Oh, this is the Yunli attack. Look at that. That is crazy looking. That is really cool. And it looks like this last 23% is going to have to all be single targets, so it's pretty much 2 million damage we're going to have to deal here. Can we deal it before the cycle finishes? I think we can. Back into Concerto. Only one real turn with the Herta, but we do get 5 extra stacks here. So we're going to go up to 32 with this skill. And then go up to 34. Bang, bang. If we go with Herta, we'll actually go up to 36, I suppose. Oh, I was thinking about maybe if this run, wasn't good enough, maybe we should reset, but I decided, you know what, I think it's fine. And, we actually should have waited for Jade just to get a little bit extra, just for some extra numbers, but you know what, that was good enough. Okay, and it's time for the third team. This time we're going to skip the first wave and just get into the swarm side to kind of speed things up a little bit, because the last 2 runs were quite lengthy. Now here, we're using double Herta with Ron May, and we're still using Ho-Ho because the energy is just great. Although I did actually, perhaps we should have just used Linksha. Maybe that would have just been a little bit better, just to see if we can, increase this stack generation, because it is a little bit hard to get to 42. I think I've said this twice now. It is just a little bit hard. And our single target damage, outside of using our enhanced skill, is quite low. So that is why I did opt for the Ho-Ho, just so we can continuously get these very, very powerful enhanced skills. So here we're going to go ahead and bring up the numbers and Summon the Mirrors. That is a beautiful ult. 99 stacks of answer. So the next ultimate will be quite strong, and we do have the attack buff now. It is funny, the ultimate buffs the enhanced skill, and, or I guess everybody with the attack buff, while also buffing the ultimate, while the enhanced skill, of course, charges her ultimate with the answer. So it is kind of a give and take relationship here. Now we're going to be killing a lot of these bugs here and getting a lot of vulnerability on this main bug, which is going to be quite nice. We got a slam from Herta. If we could trigger a bunch of Herta follow-ups, that would be very good for the energy for the Herta. And if we did this in Pure Fiction, we would see that because we'd be continuously killing enemies. And the energy gain at that point, perhaps we will see stacking up to 4 of her inspiration stacks for her enhanced skill. Maybe at that point it would make a difference, but even then you would still want to be popping your enhanced skill and using your skill. So go ahead and heal up here, and then we got a little bit of, and here I did not think that the shared feeling was going to get me enough energy on a Herta, but I guess it is funny, the evolution of Herta has 220 energy over the 110, quite literally exactly 50% less energy. So 4 was enough to get that energy up on Herta, and we wasted it, but it's fine. And we're at 42 stacks. If we can go ahead and get to the Herta, we can go ahead and wipe this wave here. It probably doesn't even make any sense to use this here. I was thinking maybe the energy if we go ahead and get hit by Runmate, but of course the weakness break extension was pretty stupid. And almost 600k single target, great. We do want to wait for either Runmay's turn or the Herta's turn to use the Runmay ult just so we can get that light cone buff to stay consistent. And here, let's see if we can get some stacks. Unfortunately, the thing about using the ultimate prematurely like that is that it doesn't take advantage of the transfer. And with another Euro Edition character in the team, we're going to be getting a lot of stacks on these side enemies. So unless they die, then it won't transfer. Now, in this situation, of course, we can just kill them. So I guess what I said doesn't actually make too much of sense, and we can kind of ignore it, actually, perhaps. Big Blast. Or Big Gem. It's a good one. It's a good one. I think using Robin, if we can kind of minimize the attack dilution, is really fun. Of course, this video did not showcase anything with Mem, with the Remembrance Trailblazer. That is going to be in a separate video, and that's also going to be a ton of fun, because using Mem and using Trailblazer is just super, 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 super good. But I did want to keep that for a separate video. Now that I think about it, if we did three teams, we should have actually used one with Mem. But it's looking like the bug is dead. And we can get into the builds quite shortly once it is deceased. We did start it, was it 29 cycles? I don't really remember. So I think about 3 cycles, or perhaps 2 cycles for this relatively fun double Euro Edition team in the MOC. Okay, that's kind of a scam. It's kind of a scam, but whatever. Come on, just die, just die. There we go. Now for the builds here on the Herta, we had 2. We had a more free-to-play version for the 4-star only one. However, for this one, she was 77% crit rate going up to 89 with the Azumo, and with the 4-piece Scholar for that extra crit rate and a lot of extra damage percent as well. Quite nice. E0. When it came to Herta, she was on the Herta Light Cone. She gets a ton of crit rate in and of herself. Very good. With the Azumo as well, plus that follow-up set there. Now, Ranmei was pretty standard, nothing all that special. Didn't even need to be on Watchmaker, actually. We had Shared Feeling on Huohuo for extra energy. We like to see it. Very good with Robin. And speaking of the Robin team with Jade, this was her. She was on the new Poet set, this 4-piece. It's going to decrease our speed by 8%, and then depending on if our speed is lower than 110 or 95, it's going to give us 20 or 32% crit rate. So we're getting 44% crit rate just from our pieces here, which is pretty insane. finishing us off with a 56 over 224 Jade with no speed. Now, the no speed makes her go a little bit less, which is a little bit rough. However, I'm deciding and debating whether it's worth it. We'll find out in the future. Now, speaking of the Robin that we were talking about, we had a pretty juicy Robin with a ton of attack, actually. This two-piece was pretty crazy. However, it was a standard Robin other than that. And finally, for the 4-star team, we had the Herta on the Herta Light Cone with a pretty good ratio, pretty much similar relics, almost the same actually. And then as for Serval, she was on this weird Karibo Light Cone thing, and it was fine. Same set, same everything as the Herta. Very surprising. And Pela was on Resolution, pretty fast on Wind, and then Gallagher was on Quid Pro Quo. So that was the Herta with a couple different characters. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Put into the comments what you guys think about her, what you guys want me to try with future videos, and different combinations we got with her, because there are quite a few that we're going to be getting into. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.